We're going to get these teams ready for you guys, and we got the double thumbs up coming out from Clutter, and we're going to jump into it, Super. You ready?
I think that I'm always ready.
It's true. I've never asked, hey, are you ready? And then you say, no, DC.
Oh, give me a minute. I'm in the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Here we go, guys. We're going to jump into the very first map of this best of 3 series between these two teams. And the first map is going to be in the Grand Arena once again. Okay. Looks like Tony does need to figure something out real quick before we do that. Just a shout out to all of my homies. We are 11 out of 25 of our subscription goal. Thank you guys so much for subbing to GCD TV. Your subs help us out continue to keep doing this every single week and bring you this epic PvP action. So really do appreciate your support, guys. Thank you so much. That being said, we should be jumping into this losers bracket semifinals very, very shortly. Oh man. Well, since we have just a few minutes of downtime here, I do want to take a moment to shout out GCD TV's very first sponsor. It is none other than Skillcapped. If you're unfamiliar who Skillcapped is, they are a website that provide guides to WoW PvP. So if you are playing 3v3 Arena and you're having trouble against something in particular, you can actually look up the guides on how to beat it on skillcapped.com. So it's an amazing website to get better. But they are looking for content contributors. So what does that mean? When they're looking for content contributors, they're looking for people that are capable of creating awesome videos. Now, if you want to know more about Skillcapp's, what they're looking for, type !skill in chat, and you'll be prompted with more information on how you can contribute to Skillcap. Now, they're not looking for just rank 1 gladiators and stuff. They're looking for pretty good players, but more importantly, they're looking for players that are willing to create really good content and are good at teaching. So if you really want to get your foot into that WoW esports scene, you want to get involved, this is the best way to do it right here. So definitely type !skill to learn more about that. And if you enjoy GCD TV and you like supporting us, definitely support them as well, as we wouldn't be here without them. So there it is. Okay, we got the double thumbs up coming out from Clutter. We're going to jump into the very first game of this best of 3 series, and of course the very first map, of course, is in the Grand Arena. Alright, welcome to the Grand Arena. We have our Monk Sucks running that Monk TSG going up against KFC coming out from Tony from the Bronx. So you are absolutely right, Supa. You knew these guys very well running that KFC against
Guns blazing, you get it? Guns blazing, because he's Hunter. He shoots you, the guns blazing.
Oh, what? Now I do. I think he's using a bow.
He is using a bow, but it shoots bullets, okay?
Does it?
I don't know, look at it, it's pretty epic, it might. How do you even know if it's a bow? It looks like a bug with a string on it.
I think it just shoots scarabs that eat your brains.
Oh, that would be sick. Oh man, I don't want hunters getting that ability. I like my brain.
Dude, I used to love the Mummy Returns movies. But anyway, here we go. Lossa going to go ahead and charge in on Vellido. He's going to be met up by Omnivore, where there's a little warrior duel in the middle of the map here. Vellido looking for Tony, though. He's going to jump onto him, get the slow up onto Tony, but the disengage is going to prevent him. But he's going to get gripped back in. Looks like this TSG is going to go on to Tony from the Bronx, but Omnivore using that recklessness, and he's going to go ahead and get warmed up, but he gets out of it. Tony could be in a little bit of trouble here, as this is the offensive cooldowns coming out for the Hottedtko. Is just going to trade up his Iron Bark and his Nature Swiftness for that recklessness, and it looks like Tony should be okay here with the Roar Sacrifice as well. Full trap lands onto Adellah. Vellido might be in a little bit of trouble here, dipping kind of low as Adellah's sitting in that CC. He's dipping down to 30% health here as Lossa's using his recklessness onto Vellido. Vellido could be in a little bit of trouble. This might be a cocoon coming out for these guys, but Tony still taking a bit of pressure, but he is doing a great job kiting these guys. The barrage coming out onto Vellido, but no CC onto Adellah. Both teams just basically stabilizing here, but Tony doing a great job kiting this double melee.
Yeah, Sucks actually has a lot of cooldowns still available. Basically everything but Icebound Fortitude. Double Shockwave going to land. Hottedtko playing in the back. Tony going for a Wyvern Sting. That's going to connect onto Adellah. He's going to be looking to try and land a half-trapped. Omnivore Heroic leaps in. Not going to be able to stop it. However, the Murder of Crows now is up on Vellido. He's going to be taking an immense amount of pressure. Adellah leaves the CC. However, spamming the Soothing Mist heals onto Vellido here, maintaining his HP. Hottedtko was stunned up, but Tony seems to be alright. Doing a good job kiting so far, having both of his deterrences ready. Tony looking like he wants to make a play. He has that trap available for Adellah. Adellah realizes that he's sitting behind the pillar, not going to make it easy. He actually traps Omnivore, so he's not going to have that available for Adellah. And Adellah, in the meantime, sat down to drink some mana. That means that Vellido's going to dip low. He has to use some Death Strikes here to heal up through the constant damage that Tony's outputting. He's playing Survival as opposed to Beast Mastery, so he's doing a lot more damage to these plate targets with the magic explosive traps. Tony pushing up for the trap. Adellah ports the trap, I believe. I don't think Tony fell for it, but it was a nice attempt nonetheless. Tony going for a Wyvern. It's going to land onto Adellah. Unfortunately, not completely out of line of sight. Vellido's dipping low at 50%. The half trap going to land onto Adellah. Tony getting shockwaved in the meantime. Now double shockwave onto Vellido. The renewal comes out from Adellah. He's going to have to nimble out of that fear to top off. Vellido is at 30%, dipping lower and fast. Murder of Crows is up onto him, taking a bunch of pressure from Tony and Lossa. The bash onto Adellah, forcing the life cocoon out. Vellido trying to put some pressure onto Lossa. Hottedtko is going to get paralyzed. They need to make sure they CC chain this out into a stun. Doesn't seem like they have it. There's the stun, but unfortunately overlapped with the fear.
Yeah, it did overlap with the fear, and that's a big overlap considering they don't have all that much CC, man. But the full trap is going to land onto Adellah. Vellido might be in a little bit of trouble here, but looks like he's going to be completely fine, sitting pretty at 70% health here. Adellah coming out of that CC at this point, trying to heal up his DK. Look like he's going to be okay. Lossa just dipping so low out of nowhere. Rallying Cry and Ironbark going to be forced, and all of a sudden, sitting in that... he was sitting in battle stand, so that was a big reason to why he took so much damage. But I mean, he wasn't even the kill target there, so there's no reason to be in defensive. But Vellido now still the kill target for this KFC, just whittling him down. The Reckless is coming out for Lossa, trying to get offensive as the Wyvern Sting lands onto Adellah. Vellido dipping lower and lower. AMS fades, 20% healthier. He's getting into execute range. Cocoon is forced out, but the execute's coming out, and the Crows as well onto Vellido. He's going to get cloned up. He's going to desecrate out of it, though. Vellido's Cocoon is just about done. It's over with, and they just chopped right through that, and he's still in a little bit of trouble at 30% health here. Adellah still not into any CC though, but the full stun lands onto Hotted, and that's going to force the deterrence out of Tony. But Tony doing a great job getting away, but the charge stun comes out from Omnivore into the shockwave. Tony's going to get out of that with his trinket right away. He doesn't want to be caught without using another deterrence, but he's going to be okay for now, and both teams stabilizing.
Yeah, Vellido's replicated Cyclone forced the first deterrence out from Tony, but the barrage is connecting. Bash onto Adellah. Hottedtko not looking to chain out of it just yet. Death Pact going to be forced onto Vellido. Now the Wyvern Sting onto Adellah. It might be his trinket here. He lands the half trap. A fear onto Hottedtko. A leg sweep onto Lossa. He's going to trinket that. Put the shockwave out onto Vellido. He's dipping low. Rallying Cry comes out from Omnivore in the nick of time. Aura Mastery out from Adellah to get some heals. He's going to get cloned up. Low HP, and they're going to be looking to switch that over here shortly to Adellah. It doesn't seem like they can, though. Vellido's still having a hard time. Murder of Crows coming up. The explosive shot going to connect. Colossus smashes up as well. A bunch of damage coming through. Adellah doing a great job healing through it nonetheless. Now a stun onto Hottedtko. The Ironbark used onto Lossa. It's not going to be available for Tony as the shockwave connects to him. He's rooting both the melee. Goes for the disengaged trap. Lands the full trap onto Adellah. Now trying to make the turnaround onto Vellido. He's still at 60% HP. Adellah leaving the trap here shortly. Hottedtko going for the Cyclone chain. Lands the full Cyclone. Vellido in a shockwave. Not a lot of cooldowns left. Lichborn and AMS come out in last stand desperation. Now the shockwave onto Hottedtko here. Vellido at 20%. Adellah spamming out the Soothing Mist to try and top him off here and keep the pressure rolling, but it's not looking good.
Adellah's mana might be tapped here pretty soon. Vellido still taking a whole bunch of damage, and the Wyvern is going to go out onto Adellah. Vellido's scared, trying to get out of line of sight of Tony. The DR trap lands onto Adellah. On top of that, into a full clone. Vellido into the shockwave. He is scared. Execution range is available. The Cocoon comes out at the last second. Is he going to be able to survive? The Cyclone fades onto Adellah. The Crows go out into Vellido. They want to end it. Tony from the Bronx smells blood in the air, but Adellah's no longer in any CC, and Vellido's going to get topped off. Now all of a sudden, Tony's in trouble. The DR leg sweep goes out to him at 50% health here. Hottedtko not into any CC. He should be okay. The full trap lands onto Adellah. Vellido, again, just taking the brunt of the damage as Lossa has that Recklessness up and running. Vellido forced to use that AMS, but is it going to be enough? The full Cyclone lands onto Adellah. Vellido at 50% health. No more CC just yet for Adellah. As I say that, the DR Wolfensting is going to land almost out of line of sight, and Vellido's in scared trouble. Adellah being put into that bash. He's going to nimble out of it as Vellido's dipping closer and closer to that execute range. Adellah just desperately trying to keep up Vellido as much as he can, and the CC has run out, but at what cost? The mana is almost gone for Adellah, and he has to mana tap as Vellido's dipping down to 50% health.
Yeah, Adellah's doing a great job. Unfortunately, getting trapped there on his roll. It's going to force the trinket out here. They're trying to go for the kill onto Tony, I would believe here. And Tony's just going to kite away. The full fear now onto Adellah. No nimble. He nimbled out of the bash earlier. Tony looking maybe to land the trap out of it. Not going to go for it. Lossa, the Iron Bark, and the Die by the Sword up at the same time. Life Cocoon coming onto Vellido to answer the Murder of Crows damage. Adellah maybe looking for a drink here. He's sipping on some Mana Tea. Getting quite a bit of mana back right now. Catching back up to 30%. Puts Tony into a stun. Tony's going to trinket that. Go for the Wyvern Sting. Adellah's going to line of sight that. Unfortunately, getting Wyvern in the center, not able to get out of line of sight in time. Roots coming out on Omnivore as well as Vellido as they're trying to connect onto Lossa, it would appear, and he doesn't have that Die by the Sword and no Iron Bark available. He could be a squishy target here for this TSG if they can get the damage rolling. Hottedtko at 44%, almost tying up with Adellah's mana at 40% after that Mana Tea drink, and they are tied on mana at this point, dampening at 13%. This TSG somehow, some way might be able to pull it off. Adellah gets trapped on his roll. Epic pose by him in that freeze. Trapped into a preemptive trap, into a 1 second trap, and Tony is desperately trying to CC chain him, but Adellah eating that trap kind of screwed up that CC chain for Tony.
It absolutely did, man, and all of a sudden Vellido is sitting pretty as Adellah is DR on that trap in the Wyvern. There's the fear onto Hottedtko. Lossa catching that Iron Bark as he's dipping down lower and lower. Is this a new kill target potentially for this Monk TSG? It's working out so well. Hotted's forced to trinket out of that stun instantly. Got the Nature Swiftness off, but it didn't do all that much. We're at 17% dampening, and Lossa's scared. He's in defensive stance. We're at Sacrifice coming out as well, but he's in almost in execution range. Soul Reaper coming out. He's going to Heroic Leap away from these guys. Reckless is coming out from Omnivore, and they're just dipping him lower and lower. Lossa trying to pull it back around on Omnivore, but he's just going to answer it with the Die by the Sword, and Lossa is scared. Die by the Sword coming off a cooldown. He's going to press it. Omnivore now on the back foot, dipping down to about 50% health here, but both of these healers, this mana might be an issue here very, very shortly. The full Cyclone lands onto Adellah. Omnivore in the Shockwave. He might be a little scared. Both warriors sitting in defensive stance. They don't want to play greedy at all. The Cocoon being forced out from Adellah. Hottedtko now at 18% mana. The stun going out. The stun on the Lossa. Is this it? He's gonna get. Oh, he almost dipped down to execution range. Rally Cry coming out as well. He Heroic Leaps Iron Bark from Hottedtko. Rally's gonna fall. He's at 4% health. He's still alive. He goes down. Our Monk Sucks are gonna take a win off of Tony from the Bronx, and this is an upset if I ever did see one.
It's the first time, man. First time Tony from the Bronx has lost to Our Monk Sucks.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Tony from the Bronx running their KFC actually just lost to Our Monk Sucks, and now these teams have faced each other in the past in GCD TV in number 15, but this is, like you said, the very first time ever Tony from the Bronx have lost against Our Monk Sucks. This is just a best of 3. Tony from the Bronx has to win 2 in a row. Oops. No! I accidentally called someone. I accidentally called somebody. My bad. Alright guys, sorry about that. I was a little taken back, man. That was an intense series. Oh my gosh, I have a headache. That was crazy.
You have a headache?
I have a headache, dude. I was screaming.
Come on, you need to be a man about these things. There's no time for headaches in the world of Warcraft.
I just need you to hold me, Supa. Hello? You there?
Want me to hold you and I didn't respond to you? Is that what just happened?
Yes.
I could try.
Aww.
Am I allowed to try and pick you up at BlizzCon?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Might need to work out a little bit before you do that, though, because I am a hefty boy.
You can hop on my shoulders.
Okay, we can do that. This
all
right, this is getting
shoulders, then I'll stand up. I think that I'm strong enough to do that.
This is getting weird, guys.
That's not weird at all. What? It's a piggyback. It's a completely normal thing for 2 grown adult men to do.
Oh, are we going steady or something? But I'm asking these teams, I'm asking they are going to be running the Mistweaver Monk TSG once again. Don't you worry about a thing, but we are going to bring it to Tolvaron Arena here. Let me go ahead and queue right up. This is just a best of 3, by the way, guys, so if Tony from the Bronx drops another game against these guys, they will be eliminated from tournament number 15 in the next map. Like I said, it's Tolvaron Arena. Alright, welcome back to Tolvaron Arena. We have the KFC versus the Mistweaver Monk TSG. Once again, such a close game occurred last time. But I don't know, are they going to just go on to Omnivore? Or I'm sorry, onto Lossa from start to finish now? But I feel like a big reason to why our Monk Sucks got a lot of pressure out of Lossa was because they caught him in stuns in battle stance a lot. And if they go straight on him and just train him all game, Lossa's just going to sit in D. So
yeah,
the
TSG needs to swap around a lot to be able to get real pressure that kind of forces cooldowns, and they did a good job surviving long enough to do it. And then that one moment where Adellah, I don't know if he purposely or accidentally rolled over that trap on the DR. It must have been 2 seconds away from coming off DR because Tony had a trap available out of it. So if that doesn't happen, maybe they will have enough CC to push it over the edge. Tony playing survival again, not going to Beast Mastery. The cooldown's being blown from our Monk Socks on a Lossa. Iron Bark and Die by the Sword having to be used at the same time. Adellah into the Wyvern Sting, trying to get the pressure rolling onto Omnivore this time around. The trap not landed just yet. The full fear used instead. Adellah sitting through this. He's not going to be nimbling out. Feels confident in Omnivore's defensive capability here at 20% HP. He's dipping low. The Life Cocoon's going to have to come out as a result.
Absolutely, that Life Cocoon is going to come out. Recklessness coming out from Lossa. It's going to fade here pretty soon, but they are chunking through this Life Cocoon, but it did its job. Adellah now not in any CC just yet, but they're going to grip in Hottedtko and stun him up. Are they going to swap to him? It doesn't look like it. They're still looking at Lossa, but Lossa now into that defensive stance a lot more often here. Omnivore, though, taking the brunt of the pressure. It looks like the KFC is going to switch that kill target over onto Omnivore instead of Vellido. Omnivore now at 70% health here. He has to sit in this defensive stance. Lossa as well on that defensive stance, with both of these healers currently not into any CC. But
we intervened the Wyvern.
Oh, is that what that was?
Intervened the Wyvern.
That's so pro, dude.
Moment. Leg sweep onto Tony. Adellah is not going to be CC'd. He can play offensive now, keep his team rolling. He's trying to avoid the trap here. He's chi-torpedoing away from it. And this 1v1 mind game between Adellah finally going to get outmatched. The Master Flag coming in just a second too late. And now he's going to get knocked into the wall by Tony. Omnivore trying to maybe swap over to Hotted temporarily. To go into bear form, he's going to get the hots rolling. Lossa seems to be the primary target now. Adellah getting charged here, possibly swapping to him. The rend is up onto Adellah currently right now. Paralyzed onto Tony. He's going to have to sit through that. Adellah's repositioned back at the pillar. Double shockwave out by Lossa. Tony's pushing in here to try and land some CC onto Adellah. He's got the concussive shot to slow him down, but the chi torpedo, it's too much mobility for Tony to handle. He's going to knock Omnivore away. It just equals a charge stun onto him. He's going for the Wyvern Sting. He gets shockwaved on it. Paralyzed onto Hottedtko. They got to make sure they CC chain it into a stun here. The fear onto Adellah. They're not going to be able to do it. The leg sweep has to come out onto Lossa and Tony here. Adellah not CC though, trying to run away from Tony desperately. The Master Flag comes out. The trap was not used though, so the Master Flag going to be fading. Adellah ports away as well. Tony playing very conservatively, finally landing the CC, but Lossa in the meantime at 30%.
Lossa is at 30% with that Iron Bark up, and the Crows is going out onto Omnivore. Die by the Sword being forced as Adellah's put into that DR trap, and the Crows is still on. Lossa going to catch a big heal from Hotted, and he's going to be topped off. Omnivore now finally catching some heals from Adellah. Both teams stabilizing here for now, but the cleave is real from both of these teams as Omnivore's dipping down. Vellido, Lossa, and Tony are all taking some damage, but Omnivore's still the main kill target for Tony from the Bronx here, and Tony doing a great job kiting this double melee as much as humanly possible. Whoa! The disengaged trap going out onto Adellah as he was trying to get away with that roll, but he's still going to get caught regardless. Omnivore trying to get offensive with that Reckless's Blade Storm onto these guys. He's going to Heroic Leap and Shockwave Lossa, but Lossa's going to catch that Roar of Sacrifice, which is a very, very good trade for Recklessness. Roar of Sacrifice finally fading off of Lossa, but regardless, he is at 50% health here, and Hotted's trying to keep him up. That's going to force the Iron Bark and the regen onto Lossa. Lossa, but Omnivore now taking a whole bunch of damage. Crows is up. The full trap is landed onto Adëllah. Omnivore is scared. He's going to catch the full cocoon before being put into that DR Wyvern Sting. He's going to get knocked back as well, but both of these teams trading cooldown for CC over and over and over again, rotating very well. There's the paralysis onto Hottedtko. The shockwave onto Lossa. Lossa's still at full health here, but that's the full leg sweep onto Hottedtko. Lossa could be in a little bit of trouble here, but as I say that, the full fear lands onto Adëllah, and Omnivore could be in trouble here. Both warriors just duking it out. The full trap lands out of that onto Adëllah. Omnivore at 50% health here. Lossa also dipping down to around 50% health here. He's looking for a kick onto Hottedtko. He's not going to get it just yet. Hotted's just going to walk away from that heroic leap for now, and both teams have stabilized.
Yeah, but the mana is starting to tell the story here. Adëllah drinking some mana tea to try and play catch up. He's going to paralyze Tony. Drink more mana tea here. The snake's on him, slowing him down here. Tony maybe going to be looking for a trap here. Wyvern available as well. Adëllah going to get knocked here, and Tony goes for the disengaged trap. Is going to snag him with it there at the end. Murder of Crows coming out of Omnivore into the shockwave. He's got no trinket available. Getting chunked to 30% HP. He's going to activate the die by the sword. The DR Wyvern Sting onto Adëllah. Do they have any CC out of it? Hottedtko trying to get in here to get a clone possibly. He's going to root Adëllah here, trying to land the interrupt on him. I believe it was fake casted by Adëllah, and he's going to be able to spam the Soothing Mist with that life cocoon up and top him off very quickly here. Well played by Adëllah, just faking that counter shot over and over to get these heals out.
Yeah, and he has to, man. If he doesn't, he's going to fall behind. The full trap lands onto Adëllah out of that. And Tony being put into that full leg sweep as well. Omnivore still the kill target from Tony from the Bronx, but they're going to swap it over onto Tony here. Adëllah just trying to constantly fake, and he's going to fake again. There's the stun on the Hottedtko. Omnivore now dipping to 50% health here. Adëllah desperately trying to keep him offensive. Tony's looking for the CC, though. He's going to get gripped back in. The double DPS just sitting on top of him. Tony's going to be forced into that deterrence from the reckless of Omnivore. The fear lands onto Adëllah into a full trap. Omnivore could be in some trouble, but as I say that, the trinket comes out from Adëllah. The shockwave lands onto both the DPS for our Monk Sucks, and Tony should be okay out of this, but this is Crows onto Omnivore, and it's not getting all that much done considering Adellah's not in any CC at the moment.
Yeah, and Deputy starting at 5%. We saw it pay the favor for our Monk Sucks. Adëllah pushing in, lands the paralyze. Fortunately, it was dotted. Tony trying to cut away with the Master Skull, chunked down to 50% into the shockwave. He's going to trinket that the Iron Bark used as well by Hottedtko. Tony lands the full trap, but he's the one in trouble at 20% HP. Hottedtko spamming out regrowth after regrowth, trying to go for some roots maybe onto the DPS. Vellido in the meantime having to AMS now, double shockwave. Omnivore's going to trinket that, trying to keep the pressure rolling here. Both healers kind of getting tapped on mana. The Ore Mastery comes out from Adëllah. He doesn't want to have to deal with that counter shot right now. Desperately topping off his teammate before that trap comes off cooldown for Tony, and Tony's pushing in onto the pillar of Adëllah. He's going for the mana tea. He has to get some amount of mana back right now. Charge over to Tony. Heroically comes from Lossa. They're going to swap over to Adëllah potentially here. The Rend gets thrown onto him. Tony pushing in. The Colossus Smash comes off. Shockwave onto Adëllah. They are going to swap over to him. He's going to life cocoon the Murder of Crows immediately, kite to the center of the map, and he's going to be able to portal back. The life cocoon actually got shredded through. He's going to have a decent portal positioning here. However, the stun onto Hotted, shockwave onto Tony, no trinket available. Trunk to 50% HP, 30% HP. The paralyzed CC chain out. Tony gets charge stunned at 40%. He's trying to kite away. Adëllah just going to portal back, go for some mana tea, play defensively here, try to catch up with Hottedtko's mana, going for a drink. Omnivore has a lot of defensive cooldowns available. He's going to use the die by the sword, giving Adëllah time to drink here. 60% mana, 73% mana, taking a huge lead over Hottedtko.
Dude, you're absolutely correct. The full fear lands. He's going to nimble out of it, but that mana drink was huge to keep our Monk Sucks in the game. As I say that, the full trap is going to land, and Omnivore could be in a little bit of trouble. He knows it. He's going to press the regen as soon as possible. The stun lands on the Hottedtko into the full fear, and he's going to trinket out of that as well. Omnivore at 30% health here. The double shockwave lands. Omnivore could be in some trouble. He's dipping lower and lower. He could get into execution range here. We are at 16% dampening. Adëllah, though, with this mana advantage, is a big one. The Crows coming out onto Omnivore, and Adellah's instantly just going to answer that with a cocoon, but it's getting shredded through. There's a Recklessness Bladestorm coming out from Omnivore. He wants to get offensive onto Tony. The full stun lands on the Hottedtko. Tony's going to be forced into that deterrence, overlapping with the Roar of Sacrifice. The deterrence is going to fade, and Omnivore sitting pretty, and his Monk, though, had to use 30% of his mana there in that exchange. Tony's in trouble! The rallying cry comes out, the faint death, the Iron Bark, everything's being used on the Tony. He's desperately trying to cut away from these guys. He doesn't have a deterrence for 13 more seconds. The DR leg sweep, rallying's going to fade, and he's going to go down, and our Monk Sucks pulls it out, and all of a sudden they are going to the finals. Unbelievable game coming out from our Monk Sucks and Tony from the Bronx. And that is going to conclude the losers bracket semifinals. Holy crow, what an amazing series coming out from both of these teams. And our Monk Sucks, out of nowhere, they're going to be the victors, man. That rallying cry, the Iron Bark, everything being used. Tony, 15 seconds away from being able to use that deterrent. The DR leg sweep goes out on the Hottedtko. Tony goes into that execution range. The rallying cry fades, and that's going to do it. Our Monk Sucks are going to the finals. Taking a quick look at the bracket, guys. Up next, we have the finals. Our Monk Sucks, a team that came all the way from the qualifiers. They come back every single tournament. They want to prove themselves, and apparently they are here to do just that. And they are going up against one of the hardest teams they could possibly face in this finals. Tournament number 15 is going to conclude just after these commercials.